On the surface, Carmageddon Rogue Shift seems like a solid game and a huge step up over its predecessor. It scored nicely in reviews, YouTube is full of praises for it, and the user reviews... well, it got review bombed on launch, but the rating has continued to climb since then. Carmageddon Max Damage, on the other hand, reviewed poorly and was such a failure they sold the Carmageddon IP 2 years afterward. That's what you've been led to believe. In reality, Max Damage is far higher in quality, sold better than Rogue Shift, and has more players despite being a decade older. So why is that? Well, you don't need me to tell you that mainstream critics have been a complete joke for ages. It's been beaten to death at this point, so people have turned to alternatives, like niche specialists on YouTube or user ratings on storefronts. But these two are also unreliable, especially the former, because the majority of big creators are complete sellouts. Now I know, my everyone is wrong except me attitude has given me a negative, rage-baity reputation in the racing game space. But the difference is, I have something to back myself up. Let's do a simple experiment. Let's open up a fresh YouTube session with a US-based IP address and search Carmageddon Rogue Shift. Let's then write down every commentated video. These videos add up to nearly 1 million views. 81% of these views come from 12 videos, and all of them are paid sponsorships. There are people who got paid to make a video about the game. That should tell you more than enough, but sadly, I'll have to explain common sense. Some sponsorship contracts explicitly state that you can't make negative remarks about the product. Even if they don't, there's an unwritten rule. You don't buy the hand that feeds you. Or in the case of some, funds your extravagant hobbies. These videos aren't reviews, they're advertisements. That should be obvious, but for the majority, it isn't. People mistake these advertisements for genuine opinions. And I started realizing this because of how people reacted to a sponsorship I took. Gotta love praising a pay-to-win game from a guy who criticizes most racing games. Open video, whole segment is marked by sponsor block. Yes, and it should be. I literally say in the first sentence of the section that this is a sponsor. That's common sense. Why is it the top comment? I thought my negative aura may be contagious until I checked the comment section of these sponsored videos and realized the scale of the tragedy. Hell, people made memes about it being the only creator who didn't like Rogue Shift, not realizing that some of those who did were paid an estimated $50 per 1,000 views on their videos. That's the only real rate I know of. Here, let me fix that meme up for you. For fun, I fed the transcript of every video into a language model to give them a positivity rating. This won't be accurate, but still highlights the undeniable bias in sponsored content. These videos are completely useless if you're trying to evaluate the game. Yet, that's what 80% of people who watch narrated Rogue Shift videos were exposed to. And I believe this to be the main factor behind Rogue Shift's falsely perceived positive reception. But still, I also shouldn't have taken a sponsorship related to my niche, despite it being the norm. But the other 20% should be fine, right? Not quite. In addition to those who outright get paid real money, we have a second group of people who get a free review key, typically about a week ahead of the game's public release. Well, a free early copy is still a form of payment. You're no longer obligated to stay positive, but it will inevitably shift your bias. You'll view a product differently if you got a free special version of it ahead of everyone else versus if you bought it with your hard-earned money. Did a single early reviewer mention Screamer's AAA asking price? Not to mention that some creators intentionally make overly positive videos in order to stay on the good side of companies who might eventually sponsor them. Am I throwing shade without hard evidence this time? Yes. Should you still, at best, take review copy videos with a huge grain of salt? Absolutely. Now, what about the final 5% of views? This is what you should have been presented with in the first place. Still, you might come across a lot of conflicting videos. On one hand, you have people who last played a good racing game 20 years ago and have no frame of reference, and on the other hand you have me who only plays racing games and has exceptionally high standards as a result. But if you average them out, you should reach a general consensus. That's why checking multiple reviews is seen as one of the most reliable ways to evaluate the product before purchase. Well, if you're gonna do that, why waste time with YouTube videos when you can check user ratings on storefronts? You can't trust those either. Not when literal shovelware is sitting at very positive. Steam reviews, at least, are heavily swayed by numerous unrelated factors such as trolls, fanboys, review bombs, nostalgia baits, high expectations not being met, people going way too easy on indie and early access games, praising a game for being bug-free and optimized when that should be the standard, and in general, not knowing what the fuck they're talking about. But why even look for reviews? This is a digital product. Extended demo versions aside, Steam lets you refund games if you have less than 2 hours of playtime. The only thing you'll be investing is your time. Let's say you buy Carmageddon Rogue Shift, and you actually like it? Yeah, fuck everyone else. All that matters is that you are having fun, right? Not if you ask me. Simply having fun is irrelevant. The degree to which you're having fun is what actually matters. Have you ever considered that there might be something better out there than what you're used to? You can have fun with this, and you can also have fun with this. And I know you would have, at some point in your life, like when first discovering video games. Now, which one of these fun games would you rather play? You probably couldn't answer that before, because you weren't aware of the existence of the first game. Well, now you are. So tell me, why settle for mediocrity when you could be fun maxing at a lower price? Tell me, Rogue Shit fans, if your game is so fun and addictive, why aren't you playing it? Why is your game as dead as Max Damage? That's right, just 2 months after the release, and there are about the same or even more people playing a dead, disappointing at the time Carmageddon than they are playing Rogue Shift. We've seen similar stories before. People praised Wreckfest 2's disastrous early access launch, not having played the gem that was Wreckfest 1. They fanboyishly supported AC Evo, only to be betrayed by its developer. They liked iRecycling Arcade, not knowing Circus Superstars was abandoned in favor of it. And it's still a more complete game. In all cases, the marketing and YouTube shells misled you towards the inferior product when a better, cheaper alternative of the same type already existed. The newer games might eventually redeem themselves, but that won't be without cost. The player-based split introduced by Wreckfest 2 depopulated the first game's lobbies, and we shall never see what else would have come out of iRecycling's predecessors. I bet everything that if people tried both games, the majority would choose Max Damage over Rogue Shift. Player count isn't everything, but it says a lot. Like how Rogue Shift wasn't exactly a successful game. Despite the larger gaming market today, Rogue Shift sold fewer copies than Max Damage or Reincarnation on Steam. The only thing it has going for it is a Nintendo launch that Max Damage didn't have.